Rebic, Rafa, tira, gol! Rafael Leao! Oggi segna Leo! La mia giornata è iniziata così! Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Tallgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. Took a week off, but I'm here, and we got a good one to recap. We got Maddie with us as well.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't on last week. Maybe I don't know, but glad to be back.
Recording time on it, I think.
Yeah.
We had Sierra on for the Derby preview, and he predicted 2-1 Inter win, and Jan predicted a 2-1 Milan win. I predicted a 1-1 draw, and Stefano predicted the same. We won. We won the Derby. I don't know what else to say apart from that, you know. Obviously, we're going to dive right into the game and stuff, and analyse all the key events and everything like that. And then we've got a couple of games to preview. But yeah, there's a buzz at the moment. There's a buzz. It feels like, I don't want to say it feels quite the same as it would have felt for them last season. You know, when they beat 3-0 in the second half of the season, it was like, all right, that could be a big turning point in the season. Because obviously we're still a point behind. They've got a game in hand and stuff like that. But it feels pretty good. Like there's a buzz about the fan base as if to say, okay, a challenging game that on paper we should lose, we've actually won. And that's big. That's big.
I'll just put up the inter-review thing now since we're just diving right in. But yeah, it really does sound or feel almost like it's a turning point. And I know that might be a little hyperbolic at the moment because we're still a point behind and they have a game in hand. But just looking at their upcoming fixtures, like they're going to Napoli next, and that's another huge game. And if Napoli pull it off, they got Osimhen back. They're getting Koulibaly back tomorrow. Like, there's a very good chance that if Napoli's still kind of sulking out after this loss, if Inter is, that Napoli could pick up some points, and that would be huge for us. That would, put Inter in third if we beat Sampdoria as well. But then we're right back in it. So it's definitely good, and it seemed like one of those things where if we were to have lost this game, that would have been the title race. Mm-hmm. But since we won, now it's like everything's flipped on its head. There's a lot of hope, and hope is dangerous. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited.
I was not expecting to win this game. I think I sent you guys a message beforehand, and I was like, I have a horrible feeling about this. Like, we've been having trouble scoring goals. That's what I was saying in my head. I didn't actually say it to you guys. But after the first half, I was not impressed at all. We couldn't get anything going. We just were concentrating on the left side. The right side was not doing anything. Teo was staying back every time he moved up. The Inter counter was just destroying us. And I was not looking forward to the second half. And then Macias came on. Teo started moving forward, and it looked like we just started to play our game and not let them play theirs. And it was a completely different game. I never scream in games. I'm like someone who watches nice and silently, and I was screaming the entire second half. Good screaming, not bad. So I was
bad screaming the first half.
Oh my God. My animals were looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, are you okay?
Yeah,
no,
I was literally like dancing with my dog because he's, as you know, fairly tall. He's about John's height when he stands up. So, it was like I had a nice little dance partner down low. And I got to, I don't know. I was jumping, I was screaming. And so he was like, oh, we're celebrating. Let's do this. So he jumped too. And I was like, all right, yeah. So we were having a good time.
They're great, man. Dogs, your successes are their successes as well.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know why you're happy, but they're happy to be happy. So
I'm going to use this opportunity to shout out the Milan Club London guys. I had a fantastic evening watching the game there with them. It was kind of a late decision. I was going to go down there, had commitments with family and stuff like that. My parents, girlfriend's parents, and we all just decided, like, well, that there was also like other sporting events on in this country. So went to the one place we knew would be showing the game, managed to convince everyone to go down for it. There must have been like 100, maybe more, that were packed into this like half
Stefano
of the bar
was there,
watching the game. Stefano was there, yeah. Lorenzo.
Stefano got recognized. They go, you're SempreMilan. I love your stuff.
You're the only one so far who hasn't now, huh?
Me?
Yeah.
I told you guys in the chat, I watch every Milan game. I've watched almost every Milan game alone since college. Because I don't know anyone who likes them, So
yeah.
my wife doesn't even like them.
Get a
I
new
don't
one.
like them most of the time.
New wife?
Yeah. Felt I said that. I gotta see her soon.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of fun there. The first half was. Do you know what? It's not as bad when you're in an environment like that and the team's performance was bad. I think it was actually kind of like a coping mechanism to be in and among that crowd because they were just as gassed for the game as what I was, and their frustrations were like, you could amplify them by just shouting and not worrying what anybody thought about you. And then. Yeah, the second half. I mean, what a special turnaround that was, and to be part of that atmosphere was fantastic. And I can only thank them for putting everything together. What they do is a fantastic job off their own backs and stuff. And I will definitely be returning there for another game, hopefully another big game like that as well. But yeah, let's break the game down then. We can talk about this now and what went wrong without a tear in our eye. Because of the comeback that happened. But the first half, as alluded to previously by Maddie, was not good. I think everything that we intended to do with our starting lineup, especially the move to play Kessier as a number 10, backfired massively. He was meant to be the guy who's going to control Brozovic at the very least and, at most cause some real problems for Inter going forward. He couldn't track the ball. Brozovic was able to do pretty much what he wanted. Inter played a good first half. I must also give them credit. The one thing that was lacking was their finishing inside the 18-yard box. But how many times have we said that about us, in the first half of games this season? It's funny how the script can flip like that. But there was nothing really positive for us in that first half, bar some nice passing combinations in the opening exchanges. But it seemed like we were playing right into their hands. They were overrunning us in midfield. They were countering effectively down their right-hand side.
I thought our man of the match was Mignon, and he proved that during the entire first half. I mean, if it wasn't for his heroics, we would have been down 4-0 at halftime. I mean, he changed
positioning in the middle of a shot. Unreal.
It was incredible. It was like Matrix stuff, where he slowed time down.
Midair going one way and then just went the other way. And then he left the box and gave me a heart attack. Even though he got the slide tackle off on Hakan.
He didn't.
I screamed at him angrily. I was so mad when he did that, even though he was successful, just because of how scared I was. I had Vietnam flashbacks. I was not doing well there. And it sucked because he did all that. He got out. He got the slide tackle, recovered the ball, kicked it out, and they still got a shot off. They had 4 passes after that, and then a shot straight on him. I mean, obviously he saved it, but we just were not cohesive in the first half outside of him. And I think the issue with Kessie was it worked against Empoli, but in this game, it's obviously a totally different caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
And because we couldn't get forward, because every time Salamakers got the ball, he had a bad first touch, or he had a bad pass and the counter died. Every time he touched the ball, the counter died. And we were trying to play out the right side because Teo was pinned back with Dumfries. So that was neutralizing him, which kind of neutralized Liao. And with Salamakers not being able to get forward, Kessie couldn't do anything up front. So he had to drop back to recover it. And that's where he was doing his best, which is fine. That's what we expect. That's his natural thing. But then it left this giant gap up top. So it wasn't doing well. And, I don't want to harp on Giroud here because he obviously is the hero, but that first half, it looked like we didn't have a striker. He was just.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Giroud played great for the last maybe 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But the season, he's also he hasn't really impressed me much this season, and I was about to start to shit on him before he scored his goal. I'm happy that I didn't.
I'm so happy that I only did it.
Yeah,
I did it in the SempreMilan chat. A lot of people did it in that chat, but a lot of them decided to tweet it as well. And boy, did that backfire because it was immediately. I mean, as soon as I said it, he scored. And Bader must have done the same. And within 20 minutes, Bader, who everyone on this podcast loved when he guest showed, everyone in the comments did. But if you saw him tweet, he tweeted some things about oh, you guys are dumb for wanting this Giroud side. And I told you he was awful. Within seconds of that tweet, Giroud scored. And then 20 minutes after that tweet, there was 150 quote retweets of Bader just attacking him. It was It was brutal, man. He got cooked.
Sometimes I think he deserves it, to be honest.
Yes.
And this is one of those moments. But at the same time, it's like you don't mind being proven wrong in that particular moment.
Right.
Like, who cares? He's just scored a brace to win us the game.
Right.
If I'd have tweeted it, I would want 1,000 retweets taking the mickey out of me. You know, it's just one of them things. Obviously,
well,
he's known for
and
sensation.
I'm the world's biggest Brahim fanboy. Like, I think that's very obvious. I've said it a million times on this podcast. In the chat, I said, why are we taking Brahim off? Or why are we bringing Brahim on? And then he had the assist, like, immediately after.
I was very against
made fun of Brahim and then made
well.
fun of Giroud, and then they assisted each other. I was like, okay.
So moving forward, that's just the play.
It.
Then,
yeah.
isn't it,
I
really?
think Brahim as a sub in the second half works because he's quick.
Well,
the defense is tired, you know. But from the start, I feel like he's not useful at all. And I shit on Brahim a lot.
Yeah, the difference this game with Brahim is he was actually winning the fouls when he was getting knocked off the ball, because he still got thrown off the ball left and right every time he touched it, but he actually got a lot of free kicks this time. And his assist was just a god-awful shot. So he still didn't do, great. It just happened to work in our favor this time.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, as mentioned, the first half didn't really go to plan. Inter looked good, should have been out of sight. Prior to those changes that were made, obviously, I think we can all agree that Madison for Salamanca was the right call. Brahim might have been a debatable sub, but he couldn't have done much worse than Kessie at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the halftime team talk was like? Do you think Pioli just got them all together and said, look, we're 45 minutes away from being out of the title race here. To go out and prove that we deserve to still be in it, Just play with
that's
freedom,
what Giroud said post-match. He was interviewed by Marco Messina, so shout out IFTV there. But he said, like, the halftime talk was, tomorrow's too late, so do whatever you can today. Like, just make it happen. And there wasn't much, like, tactical analysis given, which I think is cool, because sometimes, like, you just got to rely on the boys to do their thing and, like, motivate and be like, look, this is your opportunity. Grab it. Like, let's go. And I think Mignon kept them in it to where they're like, yeah, because that was the other thing. He's like, Pioli said, Inter did not put this to bed. They did not kill the game. They had their chances. They didn't. Now it's your turn. And they took it.
And in the second half, it was very clear that we decided to start playing our game because Teo immediately started attacking.
Yeah.
And it just opened up the entire Inter midfield, and our attackers could finally do something.
Yeah, and that was so interesting, that battle between Teo and Dumfries, because Dumfries was getting the best of him the entire first half. And then as soon as second half started, Teo was just like all over him, untouchable, getting under his skin left and right. I mean, he had the
It was really weird. I was like, well, their counterattack is about to start destroying us, and then they couldn't do anything. And I was like, well, this is weird. What's going on?
That's what I thought.
And that's why I think Pioli told him to sit back that first half.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think of. And then at the halftime talk, he's like, just do it. Do your thing. Risk it.
I have flashbacks at 1-0 at halftime to the 3-0 defeat last season, where that was 1-0 at halftime, and I thought the moment we start pushing to get that equaliser, they're just going to hurt us at the other end. And thankfully, that isn't what ended up happening. This time it seemed a bit of a different game to me. I don't know if for certain players it might be a fitness thing. Obviously, they didn't have Correa to bring off the bench. I mean, how much of a difference he'd have made is open for debate. We've got Lautaro and Alexis Sanchez both coming back from playing in South America. In general, perhaps having 2 weeks without games can make people. There you go. Live plug. Isaac's just sent that out. If you haven't already, then sign up for our newsletter, because we've done a recap of the Milan derby as it happened, all the best snippets and GIFs and stuff like that. You'll find it on our Twitter. If not, then go to Substack and search SempreMilan Insider. We will also put a link in the description for it as well. Please sign up for that. It's ad free, and you can enjoy sort of hand-picked content on that if you don't have the time to necessarily be constantly scanning the website. So thanks to those who have signed up. What was I going to say then? Oh yeah. Whether fatigue played a part in it, for me, there was such a clear and obvious changing point, and it was around the time that Brahim Diaz came on, but more so in the energy levels of both teams. If for the first 60 minutes we can put our hands up and say Inter dominated physically, athletically, technically, they looked the better team. They looked sharper. Their movements were more intelligent. They stretched us. They played with us a bit, to be honest. We could not get a foothold in the game. Lucky to be only 1-0 down at half-time. But then something just changed. With the flick of a switch, we started winning the ball back higher up the pitch. They got a bit more sloppy. I think Dzeko, his energy levels had gone. Lautaro stayed on for about 10 minutes too long, in my opinion, if I'm looking at it from an Inter fan's point of view, because he hadn't had his best game and the press from the front wasn't there anymore. It just gave us that little bit of a foothold, and that's all that we needed, because we've seen before that if you give us 2 or 3 chances, we can put a couple of them away. It's the same for them, I guess, on their day. But, the sun was shining on us on Saturday. And I have to give immense credit to Pioli for the changes that he made from a tactical point of view. I think we can now start to see him, rather than being sort of a tinker man who just does stuff for the sake of it, there is a clear vision behind what he's trying to do. Some might say there were obvious changes as well. We've got to credit as well the mentality of the team, because I think previous sides would have folded in those circumstances, but they knew that we were going to get a chance at some point. So just hang in there until that chance comes. Yes, there's a bit of fortune about our equaliser. Brahim, it's probably a shot and then it deflects to Giroud at the far post. I think that's good positioning from the centre forward. He's gambling on a deflection there, which is good. There's absolutely no luck about the second goal. But bang, that's it. 2 goals, 3 minutes, wins you the game. We've gone from being 7 points behind into potentially, with them having a game in hand, to 1 point. And all of a sudden, we can't wait to be playing again. And they've got Roma in midweek in the Cup. Imagine if they got bumped out of that, because Roma are a bit unpredictable. They can beat anyone on their day. They went and trashed Atalanta, for example.
Not us.
Then they've got Napoli. Yeah. Then they've got Napoli at the weekend, and Sassuolo coming up as well. Like they've got some hard games, and it's funny. It's funny what games like that can do. It was good. I enjoyed it as a spectacle, because some of the derbies have been quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
We've played a lot of those, I say, banter era for both sides. You know what I mean? Like 2013 to sort of 2018, 19. A lot of those derbies were just really nice 1-1 draws where there was no real needle, or
none of them mattered. We both were fighting for 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Like they were kind of irrelevant.
But
they still got the views.
This was different, man. This was nasty.
Matters.
I got the
It was
feeling
1 and 2 or 1 and 3 at the time. I guess.
Yeah. Became 1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, I got the feeling, and I still get the feeling, that actually the 2 sets of players really don't like each other.
I think
maybe Çalhanoğlu drives it a bit. Obviously, that's the kind of glue that holds the entire beef together, really. But at the same time, like Dumfries coming out and saying what he did before the game about how nobody from Milan scared him, that was either going to work one way or the other. In the end, I think it probably. He drew a red card, but he does look like an idiot because they lost the game.
I don't think he drew a red card so much as Teo said, "I'm gonna get a red card."
Yeah, let's get a red card.
Because there was no reaction from Teo. He took the challenge, and before the ref even got to him, he was walking off. He's like, "Yeah, I got this."
And honestly, when he did that, I started clapping. I was just fuck yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's a red. That's a red. Yeah, I knew
he was trying so hard not to laugh. You can see it in his face when he's walking off. He's like, he knows what he's done. I also don't think, I don't think the reaction to that was what I expected either. Like when I saw it live on the TV, I thought, oh my God, it's all going to kick off after that. They'd be flying off the bench, because I thought mauled him at like waist height. He hadn't. It turned out that he just sort of dived in quite recklessly and clipped the back of his foot. But I thought if there was a spark point, then it would be that. And then it turned out that it was after the full-time whistle that came 20 seconds later. But there were other incidents within the game as well, like when Teo went down and Dumfries went over to basically say, get up, and like grabbed him by the arm and tried to pull him up. And to say he's built like SpongeBob SquarePants, he really didn't manage to pull him up, did he? So then Tonali comes over and starts bumping him away and says, no, he's my teammate. I'll see if he's all right. And I loved that.
Tonali came into his own and was just like, fuck all you guys. It was great.
What's funny is, like, to me, Tonali's just a little kid, but he definitely was like a man, during this game. He was in everyone's face. He was a commander like that. He's going to be a future captain. probably not even that far away. You know, like he's proven himself.
I totally agree. Yeah, and that's what everyone's talking about. And I'm always hesitant to put these kind of labels on players like future legend, future icon, and stuff. That's how people feel. But you know, let's just hope that he carries on this trajectory. But I just feel like in successful teams that win stuff, you do need a touch of arrogance. You need a touch of bastardry about you. You need to wind other teams up. I mean, we know what the dominant Juve sides of the last 10 years have been like. We can't stand them. We couldn't stand them. There were some detestable blokes playing for them. And I hope that we get to that point too, because I see a lot of Inter fans on Twitter, crying and stuff, saying how much they hate Teo, how much they hate Brahim Diaz because he was chirping Çalhanoğlu at one point.
Yeah,
for 10 seconds,
cool.
He was just getting in his ear. How much they hate Tonali, how much they hate Giroud for an apparent foul in the build-up to the equalising goal, which is still one of the funniest.
Not a foul at all. He gets the ball first, and then it's shoulder to shoulder, which by law of the book is completely fine. So, they even admitted he fouled him with his shoulder. I'm like, that's not how that works. Like,
the hype thing is the problem there. Do you know what? I can understand why Inter fans were thinking that was a foul, and I don't mean that it was. I mean, I can understand why they say it, because Sanchez got flattened. He got absolutely leveled.
Yeah, he got sunned hard. He looked like a child.
But that was because Giroud is 6'3", and Alexis Sanchez is about a foot shorter. You know, his shoulder just happens to be up here. You know, and that's it.
They also just boffed off. That was like shoulder to shoulder. Now, if that was vice versa and Inter had scored off that, I'd be fucking pissed off. But
I probably would have made a little bit of scene, but because live watching it, I was like, "Ooh, that might be a little foul," because he got thrown so far, and you don't, you're watching the game, you're not watching specifically the ball, but on the replay, you see he gets the ball first, and that makes it okay, you know. But
also, VAR wasn't allowed to intervene because
the ref didn't.
Nothing from that direct action then led to the goal. There's just some wording in the rule which means that the referee's judgment of that incident stays final. It kind of like when we equalised that time against Juve when Calabria scored, and they were all saying there was a foul in the build-up to that, but then it turned out the VAR couldn't overturn it because it just happened too far behind the play. I don't think it was a foul. There was nothing debatable about our winning goal. I think fair to say Giroud rolling back the years. There's a good article on our website.
What is he on now? Why do I feel like he's on 7 goals? I think that's too many.
7 goals.
He's on 7.
In 8 starts. And in the 8 starts that he's made in the league, we've won all 8 games. Yeah. So he might. I'll tell you what.
If Ibra can stay out a couple more months if he wants, because we know as soon as Ibra comes back, he's taking that starting position back.
Well, he's definitely out for 2-3 more weeks, I guess. That's what they were saying.
Yes.
Last night.
Sounds like he moves the next couple of games at least. But I don't understand how you can jump to that conclusion, because if you've just got an inflamed tendon, then it is day to day. Like one day you might wake up and it's just not inflamed anymore. But
right.
I don't know. I'm worried about it. You know, at 41, it doesn't heal as fast, and he's had this problem before. But you know,
41 it just doesn't heal. You're gonna have days where it doesn't hurt, and you're gonna have days where it does, but it doesn't heal at 41.
I think you can also give props to the management here and say that some people, Bidder included, really questioned the Giroud signing and said, why do we need another, experienced brackets old centre forward to play back to Ibrahimovic? Surely we need someone more physical, more athletic, younger, who's going to be for the future. That's why you bring him in. He's played over 70 derbies before in his career. Most of them obviously being in his time in London. He knows about the big games, the big occasions. He's a Champions League winner. He's a World Cup winner. No occasion startles him anymore. He scored the equalising goal, right place, right time. It would have been quite easy at that point just to try and settle back in then. But I think we all sensed there was a chance. Inter were rocked. And for Giroud to offer himself like that, the ball through from Calabria is great. That first touch just to send De Vrij to the shops was brilliant. And then the finish into the bottom corner. It was basically a spitting image of a goal he scored at Anfield against Liverpool for Arsenal in 2016. So it's a move that he has in his locker. It was fantastic. I'm so buzzing for him because obviously since he's arrived at the club, he's gone on record several times as saying that he grew up supporting us, that Shevchenko was his hero, and of course Shevchenko's the leading scorer in Milan derby history. So he got to emulate his icon, his idol, for a little bit.
You could see it on his face after the second goal. You could tell how excited he was. And you know that's going to happen no matter who you are, but specifically him, you're like, okay, yeah, he's there for this. This is what he's about. I thought it was interesting that when he was given his post-game interview, you know, English speaker, and he obviously spent a long time in London. He's an English speaker. He like instinctively started speaking Italian a few times and then had to stop himself. He's like, sorry, I keep trying to speak Italian. So he's doing everything he can to like integrate into Italy and Milan culture as fast as possible. And I think that's really understated because a lot of guys, they transfer to a foreign country and they just kind of like do their thing. You know, they don't. Yeah, Gareth Bale still hasn't learned Spanish. Like, you know, it takes a lot to learn another language, adapt to a new team, a new play style, but he's doing everything he can to make it right, and he's doing it quickly, so it's working out.
Yeah, and well, I was thinking actually then, as you were saying that, I think English might actually be his third language.
Yeah, I mean, French was his first, obviously.
French, obviously, first, and his grandparents are Italian, so he is part Italian and will have known that since he was young.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He may have spoken Italian as a kid then, too.
Yeah, that's probably before English.
That's my thinking. And that might be why he slipped into it before, you know.
Well, ignore everything I said,
I noticed that from day one, he spoke pretty much perfect Italian. And also Tomori's is getting better as well. I've noticed that. So, yeah, fantastic. Language lessons are doing good. Right, where are we? Well, that's about it, really. I mean, I guess all that there is to add is...
tops and flops.
That we need to await the extent of Teo's ban. I'm fairly sure that because it was a professional foul by the rule book, it will be a 1-game ban because it was a straight red card. Though I think
it'll be 2 because it was a straight red.
I thought he was on a yellow before that, and I saw the red, and I was like,
doesn't matter.
I guess not. Yeah,
it carries over. He was on a yellow before that. He was on a 1 card away from a suspension, is what I mean. But he didn't have a yellow card in the game. But a straight red doesn't wipe out the yellow acclamation. So
we've got to wait and see. Obviously, the referee reports will be filed and processed at the end of this round of games, and obviously there's a game on tonight. We're recording Monday, so we'll find out probably tomorrow what the extent of his punishment is. We'll see. The good news is Balotore is back. Nobody seems to know. He will be back tomorrow, I should say. But nobody knows if he's yet recovered from the injury that he had. But yeah, he's an AFCON winner, so congrats to Senegal for winning.
We had 3 players in AFCON. 2 of them have won it now, and Kessie hasn't. So, get him out the door.
Only champions at this club.
Yeah, only champions.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I don't think there's anything else to add. I guess we'll say the Curvers did a fantastic tifo. That kind of set the tone. The atmosphere.
Did Paramount even show the tifo? I don't remember it at all.
I turned the game on like a second before kickoff, so I didn't see any of the pregame stuff.
I do want to give a shout out, though, because Paramount did a fantastic job of broadcasting this game. They were live there. And the entire time I was like, man, I've been waiting for Serie A coverage like this my entire life.
Yeah,
ESPN
they did a great
botched
job.
It so bad.
And Paramount had those really cool 4K cameras that we're seeing pop up all over now.
And it was just like fantastic.
Yeah, so very happy with that.
So if anyone from Paramount is watching us, good job. You have our approval.
Whereas I missed the first 15 minutes because of the UK blackout laws.
Yeah,
that shows how advanced the football culture is over here. I can't explain.
I mean, we were playing a small club, so you'd think that the blackout wouldn't have mattered.
But I can't explain it to anybody who wants to know, who's never heard of the blackout law over here, because I thought that it only applied to English games, and I've since learned that that's not the case. So that is a shame, but didn't miss a goal. Although it was funny being in the pub and then. People were saying they've scored. Inter scored.
They did, but it got caught off
on phones.
Oh yeah,
and then it got disallowed, and everyone was going, "Hey, it's being chopped off." So yeah, that was fun. One thing I want to mention just before we move on to tops and flops, I'm annoyed that we conceded from a corner. In the preview podcast, we talked about how much of a threat Inter are from corners. Probably didn't think it would be Perisic that popped up on Matt out of all the, taller lads that they've got. But yeah, I'm annoyed about that. A free side foot volley inside the box. That was really poor.
And I do want to call out Kalulu on that because it was his man, and you can watch the replay. He's on him as Hakan's gearing up to take the corner, but as soon as he does, Kalulu runs in to go for the header. But Perisic just stays rooted to the spot, and it lands perfectly at his feet for a wide open shot. So I don't know. I think we need to learn to man mark. Everyone decides they want to run in and head the ball, but then you're leaving your dude open because they're like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm gonna be here. So we need to man mark. I don't know what's going on, but this has been 10, 11 years of cannot defend a set piece. No matter who's in charge, no matter who's playing, no matter who's in management, we just can't do it. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, it was poor, and it's like we'd held out that long. We'd managed to get sort of within 10 minutes of the break, having withstood, let's say, wave after wave of attack, but we'd sort of weathered the storm, and then to concede a goal like that, I thought, it's not our night tonight, But yeah, fair play to the lads. It was fantastic. And speaking of Kalulu, I suppose that takes us into tops and flops, because even though there was a bit of misjudgment on their opening goal, I thought he had a very good game. Overall, to keep Lautaro quiet, who is one of the better strikers in the league, particularly from a point of view of facilitating build-up. He's pretty important to how Inzaghi's system works. But I just think back to front, Maignan, a definite candidate for man of the match with his decisive saves. Just everything about him, he's the full package. Like, he's almost like having an extra centre-back with the way that he sweeps. He's confident in the air at claiming crosses. His distribution's good, which makes him like having an extra playmaker. When he's on it, he's just the best in the league, and it's not close. It's not close. I've seen Inter fans slating Handanovic for that Giroud goal, saying that he should have got a stronger hand to it, or that he did get a hand to it and he should have tipped it round the post. Whereas we're all here saying 13 million for Maignan, that is incredible. While Sven Botman scores past Donnarumma with what was an error from Donnarumma. It's been a fun weekend like that, hasn't it?
I mean, Donnarumma ended up winning that game 5-1, but still.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Calabria, I thought, struggled a little bit in the first half. I thought Perisic got the better of him, but then, sort of grew into it a little bit. As I say, Kalulu and Romagnoli, I thought, were good overall. A lot of the play was happening in front of them, so that perhaps helped a little bit. There wasn't too much running in behind, and that's what you get when you're swapping out Lukaku for Dzeko. If that had been Inter's first half performance with Lukaku as the focal point, we could be looking at a different outcome to the game. Teo was another one that grew into it in the second half. Same with Tonali and Benacer, to be honest. I thought Tonali was pretty good during the first half at trying to keep control of things. Benacer was one who accelerated in the second half. And then we've spoken about the forwards, really, haven't we? That being said, my man of the match, because I think that AJ is going with Maignan, I'm going to go with Giroud for the big occasion. He'd been feeding off scraps all game, let's be totally honest. Yes, he wasn't getting too involved, but also there was an absolute, absence of service to him. But then when he got his two chances, he took them. And that is the difference between 3 points and 0. That's the difference between us still being in the title race and not. It was his first Milan derby, and it just feels nice to see all the newspapers with his face and our team on the front of it. He's the face of the derby, I think.
Yeah, new king in Milan, There are a couple very, very obvious clear choices for this. One being Giroud. Without him, we don't score any goals. We don't win. The other being Maignan. Without him, we concede 4 goals. We don't win. And I'm not going to pick either of them, even though I did say Maignan was man of the match earlier in the game, or early in the preview in the pod. But I don't think Benacer is getting the credit he deserves for this game. Benacer was impeccable, so I'm going to pick him. Every time he touched the ball, it was rooted to his feet. He got his pass up. I don't know what his pass completion was, but it had to be upper 80s, low 90s. Like, it was very, very good. And anytime there was like a one-on-one, he was able to get the ball back. He was always doing that little like turn thing that he does. He was getting his leg between others, but he wasn't fouling anyone. He was still getting the ball back and he was winning it. And I just know, if Bakayoko, if Krunic, if anyone else was playing where he was, though, there's some goal scoring errors caused right there. So I think he kept us in the game in a lot quieter fashion than the other two candidates that we mentioned. But without him, it's game over. So I'm going to pick Benacer.
I am really disappointed because I thought you were going to pick Mike, and I was like, I can't do that. I was actually do the midfield of Benacer and Tonali because second half, they both played out of their mind, and they showed that we can be successful without Kessié. And the past maybe week or two, there's been so much talk about, do we bench him? Do we play him? He's not staying. What do we do? I think those two just showed that Kessié has found himself as a sub the rest of the season.
I hope you're right. And now I feel bad, so I'm gonna say honorable mention to Mike because I know the comment section is gonna flame us, even though we all justified our picks. But I mean, when was the last time that there was a Milan game where the goalkeeper who played out of his mind was ours and not the opposition? You know, like this.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I feel like the past 3 years we've been pretty lucky with having world-class goalies.
Yeah. Since Donnarumma arrived, like we haven't had a bad goalie, but it just seems like every time there's
It's
a
like
world-class
the
spectacular performance, it's always someone else.
I'm also going to say Mike is a step up from Gigio.
I agree.
Gigio's head was fucking huge.
And he made errors. Mike doesn't really
made it. Yeah. I mean, every goalie is going to make errors, but I mean, this dude's just unstoppable.
If Gigio was in the position where Mike was, where he dove left and midair dove right,
yeah,
Gigio would have just stood there and been like, "Oh no," and we would have
shouted at the defense.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
like okay,
Yeah.
giant, like sit down. Yeah.
Instead, Mike saves it and then shouts at the defense.
Yeah, exactly. Mike does his job and then makes sure everyone else is doing
man.
theirs.
He
is. He's fantastic. And his Instagram post or Facebook or whatever it was fantastic. It was cool. It was like because we were the OA team, you know, so the valet said he couldn't park his car there because that's for the home side. And he's like, I was introduced to San Siro as Milan's home. What are you talking about? Like, this is ours.
That's fantastic.
I was like, cool. Yeah. Tonali had one. People said it's fake, but I liked it enough that I'm going to roll with it, and I refuse to believe otherwise. There was a picture of him getting the better of Hakan, and he said, let the traitors know the city's red. And I was like, okay, cool.
I love that Hakan has not beaten Milan as an Inter player.
He has a goal and assist against us, though.
He hasn't won.
That's what matters.
That's what matters.
Talks about turning points as well. How when Çalhanoğlu scored in the last derby, he then went on a streak. I wonder if Brahim, after he gets that assist and a good performance, might now end the season in a red hot streak. Got to hope so.
Better.
Flop of the match. Wow. Sorry, Alexis.
Yeah. Soundmakers, worst
he
guy.
He deserves it 1,000%.
No, actually, right. If you two are going to pick him, I'll say Kessie. But then part of me's like Pioli's set us up to fail a little bit there with that. I think he was sort of gassed by how it looked against Empoli and thought, if we do that again, Brozovic is going to have a hard time. Mm-hmm. It's not always as simple as just matching a player up like that man to man, because they're tactically more fluid. They're a bit smarter than that, and it did backfire. But then also Kessie technically did not look at the races at all. As I said, he couldn't trap a ball. He didn't give us any real presence in the final third. He didn't help with an isolated looking Giroud either. It was the right call to call time on that experiment when he did, and we looked far more threatening and far more fluid with Brahim in the team. So I'll say him.
Yeah, I'm going Alexis, and anyone who watched the game knows why. He was really bad, so going with that.
Same. He literally caused the entire right side of the field to look like shit. So
caused the left side to look like shit too. Caused the midfield to look like shit. Everyone, no one could do anything because the second he touched the ball, he gave it away. And I'm already getting pissy again. So moving on.
We'll move on, and that's it. Derby victory, buzzing, excellent stuff, lads. Let's hope that is a big psychological turning point. Another big win under our belts there. Yeah, the tempting thing is to look back at like other games now and think, oh God, if we'd just beaten Spezia, if that goal had stood and stuff. But here we are. We're in with a fighting shout of the titles. So can only praise the lads for that. Lazio preview time. We've obviously already played Lazio this season at home. We beat them 2-0. That was the third game of the season. That was when Leao scored just before half-time, and then Ibra scored in the second half. That's actually Ibra's last home goal, which shows how long it's been.
That was also his season debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah,
and he had to limp off. And yeah, their cup runs so far, they've beat Udinese in the round of 16, 1-0 after extra time. Probably an equally unconvincing performance when you consider ours against Genoa being taken to extra time by then. We are their danger men by now. I don't really know what Sarri's going to do. The team news hasn't filtered yet, given that they also played at the weekend. But they did win impressively at the weekend, 3-0 away against Fiorentina. Fiorentina obviously going through quite a few changes and stuff after losing Vlahovic. But it just goes to show that Lazio are still a team that on their day, they can cause some problems. Ciro, Luis Alberto, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. I think not Caicedo. Felipe Anderson is leading their assists this season, so it's a bit of a throwback to like the 2017 season when they were good. How are you feeling about this one?
So the way it's gone, our last 5 games in order have been win, loss, win, win, loss. So we're due a loss at this point. We tend to alternate, but for me, the last loss was April 26th of last season, last year. I was driving across the country. I didn't watch that game. So for me, we've won the last 3. That 3-0 loss never happened, and that means we're going to win again. Look, Lazio's not a good team. I know they look like they are because they score a lot, but Ciro Immobile is a flat track bully. He rarely scores against top sides, and don't come at me because I know he scored against us in the last game. It is what it is. But they're a 2-man team. They got Ciro Immobile, they got Milinkovic-Savic, and that's it. I'm never worried about Lazio. Yeah, so this is an easy dub going to the semis.
I think that the way that Lazio has been playing this season, this game could go either way. But I really do not think that they're going to beat us because they've gotten smoked by some pretty bad teams. And after that Inter win, if we go out there and lose, then the win will like all the momentum from that win will just be won't even exist. They'll just forget about it. So we need to win. Is it home or away?
At home.
We're away.
No, we're at home.
I was like, wait, what? You guys both said something different.
We're definitely at home.
Yeah, I don't know why the game I clicked said 76 days away, so I must have clicked the wrong.
Oh yeah, that was
Lazio game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're gonna win if we're at home, but is it 50% capacity still, or was that just for the derby?
Yeah,
I think it is.
It's back to 50% now. I just think, I mean, this is God, what season was it? I don't remember. When the Coppa Italia semi-final was and still is 2-legged, and we drew the first leg away against Lazio 0-0, and I went to the second leg at San Siro and we lost 1-0, and Correa scored late winner on the break, and just Lazio have form for giving us heartbreak at San Siro in the cup. I think Correa also that season then scored a late winner on the break in the league as well. So glad that he's not there.
I'm just looking at the bracket right now, and our half of the table is a Milan team versus a Roman team, and then the other game is a Milan team versus a Roman team. That's interesting.
We play Inter in the semis, right?
If they beat Roma.
Oh God, I hope Roma wins.
I do too. I would love that because we cannot lose to Roma. They're the easiest team for us. I don't know why. We just spank them.
You may have just jinxed it if that happens.
2 legs as well. It's 2 legs, so
we'll definitely crush them over 2 legs.
Oh,
come on,
man. Right.
Come
on.
We
go.
Do you have wood around you? Please knock on it.
I do somewhere.
God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was all this talk about Lazio sacking Sarri, and I don't think they've been that. That being said, they haven't been above 8th in the table for over 10 games now. So that shows that they've kind of once they found
they're in 6th right now.
That are they?
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, they moved up into 6th in the last game. 6 points off the top 4 as well. That's actually not that far away, to be honest.
Yeah, but do you think they're going to get that? Come on.
I don't know. Don't care. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Obviously, we're not going to be able to rotate and put Ibra in there, for example. Rebic probably isn't going to be fit enough to start. Tomori we'll see. Presume like other squad players. The best that we might be able to do is sort of rotate on the right side. Maybe Kessie gets a start holding midfield role. Maybe like Bakayoko comes in, Krunic comes in. I don't know. That's if we're wanting to rotate. But I mean, the starting 11 of any team should be able to play 2 games a week. Just not for a sustained period, I suppose. So we'll see what he does with the team selection. Am I confident that we go through? No. But if I had to pick with my gut, then I would say yes, we'll just about get it done. I think it'd be an entertaining game as well. I think it'd be 3-2 to us.
I think it's 3-0. I think we're just going to steamroll them.
I think it's going to be closer than we want it to, so 2-1. And the new kid's going to play.
I hope so. I would like to see him.
I'm not calling for a goal because that never happens whenever I try. So, but he will play.
Be good to see Marco out there.
Yeah.
Marco Lazic. I thought they might throw him on in the derby, but
Well,
probably...
I said throw him on.
need
Drew's
to.
not doing anything, and then he scored 2.
Yeah. Fingers crossed we get into the semi-finals, because now we're at that stage where like every win feels like another boost. You've got to ride the crest of the wave from the derby, and next thing you know, if we're in the final 4 of the cup, we've still got a trophy avenue open there, and then we've got sort of 3 games in the league where we've got to be looking to target 9 points, but obviously we've got to take it a game at a time. Speaking of which, Sunday early kickoff, don't like that. Don't like early kickoffs. We tend to struggle more than we should in the early kickoffs. That being said, we're playing Sampdoria, who are in a little bit of chaos at the moment. They hired a new manager now, Marco Giampaolo.
Week.
That's the thing. They went into it on a 5-game losing streak when you consider the cup. Really struggled. They hadn't scored more than 1 goal in any of those 5. So they're struggling to score goals, and then bang, they slapped Sassuolo 4-0 at the Marassi yesterday. And I didn't watch the game, but by all accounts, they were really, really good. Sassuolo were really hit and miss though at the same time. Obviously, they came and did us, beat us, and they go and get rinsed by Sampdoria. So can't really judge too much from them. The big news is that Gabbiadini, who's obviously a very big player for Samp, is probably season over with an ACL. So that just Giovinco's going there though.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm excited for that. That'll be cool. And Conte scored in 2 games straight. 2
yeah, he's now
games
got a goal and an assist, hasn't he?
Let's snap him up.
Yeah,
great.
Bring him back.
Great
Straight
You're
point.
looking at that young right back. Yeah.
The interesting about this one is, so we have the early game, and then Napoli and Inter play each other, and then Juve and Atalanta play each other. We have the easiest game out of those, which naturally means we're the only team that's going to drop points somehow.
Yes.
So that's what scares me. But they're doing well right now, but they haven't really played any big teams lately. Like, yes, you can say Sassuolo because they beat us, but look at how we lost that. 2 of those 3 goals we conceded were just god awful individual errors, and actually I think all 3 of them were right because Teo gave up
a giveaway and then an absolute screamer from Scamacci.
Okay,
but yeah,
that's what it was. Good. Yeah, so there was one good goal and the rest were garbage. But I mean, looking at their last 5 games, they lost to Spezia, they lost to Juve, they lost to Torino, and they lost to Napoli. They only won this Sassuolo game. Granted, it was a rout 4-0, but still, I mean, I wouldn't be too worried about Sampdoria. The most worrisome part is that it's so early in the morning. But it is Super Bowl Sunday, so maybe that's all we need. That's the good luck.
That has nothing to do with the game.
It has nothing at all, but it's just a reminder for me so I don't skip the game again.
Yeah.
I think that after our performance in the Derby, we're going to have a little a struggle. But I still think we're going to come out with a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I think this will be tight. I'm looking up now. So our last home game against Sampdoria in the league was also an early kickoff, and we drew 1-1. The time before that we played Sampdoria at home in the league was also an early kickoff, 2:00 kickoff, and we drew 0-0. So we haven't won either of our last 2 home league games against Samp, which is perhaps a bit of a war, and they were boring draws. I remember both games being infuriating. They were really tough to break down. Mm-hmm. I think we get the win. I'm going to go 1-0 as well, though. I think this might be a bit of a tough graft, especially when you consider Gianpaolo will come back and want to prove a point. Now that might actually play against him a little bit,
Yeah.
Might be too emotionally.
When did he get appointed?
Game.
He wasn't there the reverse, was he?
No, he only got appointed like a week ago.
It takes him 6 weeks to do anything right, so we're fine. Yeah,
he just won
weekend, apparently. Yeah,
against trash Sassuolo,
who beat us.
Sassuolo. Yeah, no,
we allowed them to beat us. They didn't do anything spectacular, but I don't know. I'm just looking at
money on that,
the head-to-head. It says we've won 14 of the last 24. They won 4 and 6 draws. We won the last one 1-0. Before that was a draw. Before that we won again, and then a win, and a win, and a win. So we're good, boys. We're good. We're fine. I think the main
whatever AJ says we're good, it never ends up being good.
That's not true. It might be. I don't know. I think the main concern is, do we want Inter and Napoli to draw, or do we want a Napoli win? I think we want to draw.
I think we want to draw.
What, Ollie?
Napoli win.
You think that's better?
I still see Inter as more of a threat and more of a
I'm just thinking team. If it's a draw, we jump first.
I know that I want an Atalanta win, though, for sure. Over Juve?
You know what's fucked up is I kind of want Juve to go on a run just so they're in hot form when they do get to Inter, because I think we're ahead enough to where it's not going to bother us if they string together a few wins.
I mean, if they string together wins and Atalanta strings together losses, it doesn't matter. But I do not want Juve to finish in the top 4.
The beauty is to just win your games and watch all the chaos unfold around you,
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the 6:30 kickoff. The bad thing is we never win those. So.
Yeah, right.
We started the day off horrible.
She's going to be back on. All the good work. Sampdoria are going to win, and then all the good work will be undone when Inter win at Napoli. Right. Questions. Question time. I'm just going to have to look down the list and go for it. Dre asks, both 100% fit. Would you start Giroud or Ibra in, let's say, any game?
Giroud.
I'm still going Ibra.
God, he's like playing with 10 men.
Yeah, but 100% fit. I'm looking at peak of either. And I know we're not getting peak Zlatan at 100% fitness at 41 years old, but I think there's still magic in there.
100% fitness does not mean 100% form, by the way.
I agree. Okay.
But
I just think Zlatan's he's always got that magic. He's got that it factor, whether he's performing top or not. I think we start him, and just having him around is always good.
I would say Ibra too, but then you can make a good argument for Ibra being tried as like an impact sub. But anyway, Michael Gambino, should Tonali be the next captain?
I kind of
Calabria is the next captain.
Right, it's Calabria, it's Teo, but I really like the idea of a Tonali.
I think captain. Tonali gets it before Teo, personally, but
Teo
Calabria
already got it before him.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, well, we're going to ignore that ever happened.
Let's just ignore facts. Maybe, future captain, perhaps. Thing is, we've got a lot of players in a similar age bracket who are captain material, in my opinion. So that's interesting. Let them all.
I think that's actually a good thing.
Yeah. Good. You can never have too much leadership in a team, generally, unless they all don't get along for whatever reason. Yeah. But also, got to remember how many times the captain's armband does tend to, change hands, change arms, suspensions, injuries, and stuff. You never really have one captain who lasts you the entire season anymore.
It's really like we have a captain in each row. Like Magnan's the goalkeeper. He does command a lot, so he's kind of a captain. Then you got Teo, captain of the defenders, even though Romagnoli is the captain. Then you got Tonali, captain of the midfielders. You got Zlatan, captain of the attackers. Like, you have a personality that's commanding their row.
I think Zlatan is the captain of the medical center.
He's a frequent flyer, that's for sure.
He's got loyalty points.
He's using his mouse to get to San Remo.
God bless him. Back to the top here. Casper, your favourite all-time Milan players and your current favourite? Bit of a different one. My favourite all-time Milan player is Gattuso. I'm a bit of a passion merchant admirer kind of thing. Just love that, although he was limited in terms of technical ability, he had the heart of like 100 men. Just an absolute warrior, Loved him. Kind of wanted to play like him when I was growing up as well, as in be a bit nasty, Current favourite player is a tough one. Tonali's so incredibly likable.
Mhm.
Everything about his story just makes you fall in love and stuff like that. But I'm going to say Calabria. He's the one guy who I've always backed throughout his struggles. I said I think it would be a mistake selling this guy. There's something in there. He's another one who knows what it means to come through the Primavera, joined from a young age and made his way all the way up, graduated. And he's also a symbol of like, even when you're going through a rough patch, you can come through the other side and be stronger for it. And I think that there's a lesson there to many a player who are out of form and I think they might not realise their potential. Calabria stands as proof that if you keep working hard, then you can achieve your dreams. So I'll say him.
This is not going to make a lot of sense, so I'll just start with that. I acknowledge this is a weird answer.
Like the rest of the podcast so far.
Right, yeah. So I think my all-time is probably Zlatan, because when I started watching, it was our Scudetto year. He was there, obviously, icon. So it's hard not to gravitate towards that type of personality when you first start supporting a team. And so he's just always been held in such high regard for me. Maybe not like Semo levels of obsession. And he isn't even my favorite player.
That's like in love.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite there. But he isn't even my favorite player currently, even though he's still on the team. He's just, I think, when it's all said and done, like I'm always going to look back and be like, yeah, Zlatan was that guy, regardless of how this season's gone, even though he's still one of the greatest. I think I've grown to appreciate so many other players on our team now, that with Zlatan being out a lot and knowing that he's always going to be there, like as far as it, like in my heart or whatever, some dumb shit. Like I don't know. He's not number one for me right now. He's like number 1A or 1B. But I really like Maignan, man. And I think maybe that's just because of the hurt from Donnarumma leaving and then having this incredible replacement come in who's just a lot more swag. Of a... Yeah, he does. Like Donnarumma was always a boy, and I always felt bad when the Curva picked on him, no matter what. Like, even though he was pissing me off and like doing all this stuff, I felt bad. I was like, he's just a kid, because we've known him since he was 16. But Mike comes in and he's just got this aura about him, this killer attitude. And I don't know. That's the only jersey I bought this season so far as a Maignan jersey, and I never buy goalkeeper shirts. So he's probably my favorite right now.
My favorite is Anguchian Onyewu, the man who... I'm just kidding.
Just because he's American and he fought last time?
Right. And he never played a minute for the club.
Yeah. I'm surprised you pronounced that name so well.
It's because I actually like him a lot as a player. He actually beat up Zlatan, so that's kind of cool.
I don't know about beat up, but
they got in a fight and he broke Zlatan's ribs.
Fair.
You can say whatever you want about it, but it's real. Anyway, probably Paolo Maldini is my favorite. No reason why, besides he's the greatest defender of all time. And I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's your painting?
It's right there.
He's taking it down in disgust at the lack of transfer activity in January.
I'm protesting. My new favorite is Daniel Maldini because I'm okay. Tonali for sure.
Are you getting attacked right now?
So much what?
Are you getting attacked right now?
My dog is crying, and so he wants to play. So I'm just holding on to it.
I was wondering. It looked like you were getting pulled back. I was like, what's going on?
I
am.
Let Lautaro getting pulled back because otherwise he was going to punch Teo. Rocky Award. Pierre Kalulu is our second best centre back. He needs to be a starter. Thoughts? Hot take.
That is a hot take, but I don't think it's a flaming hot take. No, I mean, I think Tomori's number one. I've never been as high on Kier as other people, but I acknowledge he's really good. I don't think he's like much greater than Romagnoli. I think they alternate depending on their day. But Kalulu stepped up. He's proven himself. So if people want to hold that he's second best, I'm not gonna fight to the death against it. I don't think it's a terrible take. But I don't know if I agree with it yet. I don't know who I think is their second best, though.
Small sample size, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the second best. But I remember the last time that the three of us were on the pod, we talked about if he's better as a right back or a center back. I think he's proving that he's better as a center back.
He's definitely proving that he can play both positions very competently. That's pretty good. That's useful going forward.
Yeah.
Bit of a Kyle Walker type of, but has the potential to become better probably. That's definitely good. Second best centre back? No, I don't think so. I think once Tomori's back, it's going to very obviously be Romagnoli Tomori starting. And then Kalulu will go back to giving us very, very good depth in both the centre-back and right-back positions.
I will say I never feel like we're weaker when he's starting. So there's that.
I did feel like we were weaker when Tomori I can't say it right now, got injured. But he's proven that he can fill in and play great. And I'm not really worried anymore because we have great depth.
Right, we'll do one more. Oh, Michael Golisano asks, when will you guys be doing instant analysis after matches? Could have used one after that Derby win. Stay tuned. It would be kind of cool to do some live watch-alongs at some point, for big games and stuff like that. So we might explore that possibility because that would be fun.
Matt is fuming because every suggestion he's given us for the last few years, we've ignored and then decided it's our idea a few months later.
Hey, as long as it gets done,
Yeah.
I suggested a newsletter like 6 years ago.
Oh, we've got a newsletter. Second plug of the episode. Cheers.
Look, so yes, I think that's fun, and I'm all for it. The problem is with the Derby, like I wanted to get drunk. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to drink and celebrate, and I wasn't going to do that on a podcast where I had to be like somewhat tactical because you get two types of responses in these. You either get you need to be more professional or you need to loosen up. And no matter which one you do, the other side is going to be a lot louder. So if I'm drinking and people are telling me to be more professional, I'm probably going to chirp back and that's not going to help. So I just enjoy, have a good time. But yeah, I'm not against live reactions. Just know that they're not going to be as in-depth, or they're going to be very emotionally based and we're going to be having either a good time or a bad time. There was a game last season where I thought we were going to secure Champions League and we didn't, and we did an immediate reaction, and I was the pissiest I've ever been. So,
and someone told you to be professional.
That was Lucas.
And then we clinched it again, or we clinched it the following game, and we all got wasted and got yelled at.
That was fun, man. That was great.
Yeah, he doesn't watch the podcast anymore.
Everyone on too.
Hell of a journey. Yeah, if Luke, if you still watch them, please comment. So we worry. That's it. Basically, boys, we got a couple of questions saying about should we now bench Kessie because of the renewal thing. I think we talk about it most weeks and say that we're not going to do that. There's no should we is another question to will we, and we're definitely not going to freeze him out. So, there's no point really thinking about it, talking about it. Will he start every game between now and the end of the season? Nah, probably not. Probably be some rotation done to keep things fresh and stuff. There might be injuries that pop up. Probably will be. But I think he's here and we're going to use him while we're paying him. That's it. We'll wrap it up here, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Always great to recap a Derby win. I was going to say they don't come around too often, but that's now two of the last four that we've won.
They really do come often, though. I mean, people are saying like, oh, only a few in the last decade, but go count them.
We only have a few in the last decade.
That's what people say, but it's not true. Go count them. I think this was like the seventh one in the last decade. Which I mean, yeah, there's 20 games, but like that's a pretty good sample size.
30%.
Yeah, but there's draws in there too. It's not like Inter's just sweeping the floor with us left and right. Like,
I think they've swept us pretty much the last 20 years.
All right, I'm gonna
10 years
live on camera. I'm pulling up our recent head-to-head, and we'll just see what it says.
They've definitely had the better of the.
Yes, they have. Okay.
Yeah.
13 wins for Inter, 10 for us, 7 draws. Like that's. I mean, is it really that bad? If and that sample size. I mean, I don't know how far back the app's going, but that's going to 2010. So 12 years. 12 years.
Okay.
Well, you just think that last season.
I stand corrected.
Last season it was 3 points each.
You win some, you lose some, right?
And Inter went on to Inter went on to win the league despite us each winning one game. This year we've got the better We've got the head-to-head on them, which is an important factor potentially moving forward, but we took 4 points off them. So we've had the better recently. If you want to define what recently is, I'd say probably the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, especially like for the Milan clubs, the last 6 years for both of them have been pretty abysmal.
Yeah, do you really want to brag about going 7th after a derby win? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, we're going to celebrate a derby win. We're going to celebrate every win. So when Inter fans want to downplay it, like, oh, Milan's celebrating from going third to third, like, we're celebrating a win, and you're
win against your biggest
over
rival.
a lot. So, look in the mirror, nerds.
They're weird. Anyway,
nerds,
narcs. Been a pleasure, boys, on it. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I said, check out our newsletter. The link to that will be in the description. Keep checking the website. The tactical analysis of the Inter game has just gone live. Subscribe, not subscribe, follow us on Twitter and all that good stuff as well. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ.
Yeah, it was a really good one. Fun episode. Glad to be back. Real quick, I had a rough last couple of weeks, and a lot of people on Twitter reached out to me. I didn't reply to anyone, not even the 2 other people on this podcast. So don't take it personally, but I did read all the messages, and I really appreciate it. It means a lot. So thank you for the support, and I'll be back for the.
You did reply to us.
Not always. I answered your phone call, but then I didn't say anything. I hung up relatively quickly.
You answered my call when I was doing the big shop. I was walking around the shops. Anyway, Maddie.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Great stuff.
Glad AJ's back.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We will catch you in 1 week's time.
Ecco l'Ante in area di rigore, Ante, vibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono, ce lo dà buono!